And that's what we see here. He's changing to Thief, and after Thief he doesn't change again, but that would be the Sorcerer after this. So it looks like it's a predefined order that you probably choose yourself, and it's a maximum of 3 vocations. Vocation Maesters. Yeah, we looked at that. We got Lennart, we got Sigurd. This is also a badass picture. What we all thought was that where you would learn the new archer skills was from the Elven Kingdom, and although we don't know what this guy's name is or his origin, it does look like a human trainer. And you have Wild Fury. This guy is not mentioned in this overview, right? It's only mentioned in the blog here. Interesting. How amazing this class actually is in combat. He started off with a sorcerer, and that sorcerer just put out a magic barrier stopping these projectiles. And then he immediately switches to magic archer to stagger the beast. And then he takes that opportunity to swap to his mystic spear hand and attack him in melee range. Nobody's talking about the true power of the warfarer fashions Dogma. Yeah, you can use all of the armor sets finally. It's just really sad for Rise of the Ronin, because it was a game I was hyped to play, but I think it's gonna get completely overshadowed by Dragon's Dogma 2 at this point. This first shot I saw here, I immediately thought that this was a snowy area. I think that is something a lot of people want to see, but another thing you can see here though, that is equally cool, is that you have rain. So rain is something we didn't have in the first game, and a simple thing like that is really interesting to see in the sequel. They released these t-shirts, and I think a lot of people believe that this was the final vocation count. We have 9 vocations. Veteran Dragon's Dogma players knew that it was no chance that this would happen, and we were right all along. Here you see the vocations. Let's just take a look at this first. You have your fighter, you have your... Wait, I almost thought that this was the sensor class here. I've never really looked closely at this picture, but that could be something else than just staff. You have this vocation here that looks like it could be your monk, because you have your fist weapons, you have your claws here. This to me looks like a monk vocation, and you have your elves here. That was also part of the concept, together with the beast room. So you see here things that they wanted to include in the first game. I think there's no doubt about it that this is what they want to include in the sequel. All of these vocations, and especially the monk. And they also showcase this here. It says vocations, and they actually have only pictures of the monk here. A barehanded brawling monk vocation was part of the original plans for Dragon's Dogma, but was dismissed early on due to balancing concerns. If the player didn't need weapons, they might have an overabundance of money. It would be really easy to balance that. Of course, they could give him some kind of fist weapons, right? So they tweeted this 23rd of August in 2022. So this was when the game was revealed, I think. Now, why would they tweet about this if they're not gonna make monk class? That makes no sense to me, if they would just post this and not have a monk class in the game. From what I can see, this is some kind of corrupted dragon, and I immediately thought of Zool from Dragon's Dogma Online. Alright, so here we have the black dragon. I think I've seen footage of this before. So it looks like this is a second phase. So now he turns into his second phase, and you see his infected version. And I have to agree with Zap, this looks very much like the dragon we saw in the trailer. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Earth Dragon. This heavily resembles Blue Moon Tower. You see these narrow paths and ledges here. That is how Blue Moon Tower looked when you fought the Griffin. And a lot of people in the chat were saying that this reminded them of the Earth Dragon. I think it looks way too small to be an Earth Dragon, but let's just look at Zool. I'm not really sure what the lore is behind this dragon in Dragon's Dogma Online, and if there's people who have knowledge about the online version, please let me know if you guys know what his role was in the story. So what do you guys think about this dragon? And infection, of course, was also a big part of Dragon's Dogma Online enemy types. And I think in this artwork book you can see this much better. Yeah, here we go. Almost all of the monsters in Dragon's Dogma Online could have an infected version. See, even the Griffin could be infected like this. Every time I scroll down, I see something new, like this Dragon's Plague. Let's just look at this first. So the Dragon's Plague is a contagious disease-like condition that infects pawns as they travel between worlds. So when the pawns are in the rift, they can be infected by this plague. And rather than being weakened, pawns with the disease are said to display remarkable performance. And you can see clearly from this video, you see it in the end here, and that makes me believe that this pawn, you see the darkness emanating from this dragon here and the red eyes. is linked to this character somehow. While affected, the pawn's basic stats will improve and their behavior will change. So this looks like your own pawns can also be affected of this condition. It seems to be a rare illness, but if someone in the party... So this looks like it's gonna actually affect your pawns as well. It's not just a story or lore mechanic here. But if someone in the party is unnaturally bossy or overly active, that's what that's what I just said, they may have contracted Dragon's Plague. Should you look for a cure, or will you use it as a positive boost to their strength and continue your journey? Huh, that is also very interesting. Yeah, there we go. You are actually right. I never saw this, but you guys are right. You have it here captured on PS5. If that is true, then it's gonna be really easy to tell if this is 60 FPS or not. We're just gonna put it into DaVinci Resolve here. Whenever I put a new video into the timeline, if that video has less than 60 frames per second, that is my timeline resolution and frame rate, it would ask if I want to change the frame rate. Doesn't mean that this is 30 frames per second either. It's something between 30 and 60 in my opinion. You see here when I go frame by frame, if this was 30 FPS, it would be every other frame would be a still frame. But here there's a lot of frames that are so I would say it's something between 40 and 50 frames per second. Just looking at this footage, what do you guys think? Yeah, so I think I know why you asked about the ice attack, because a lot of these sorcerer skills should be very FPS hungry. Yeah, so actually in this footage every other frame is a still frame, so here it's actually 30 frames per second. So that's as we expected, that it will be dips that go below 40 and even 30 frames per second like we see here. That's a very good suggestion to check out the ice attack. Would you play this class and really think about frames? I mean, it looks so cinematic and fluid that it doesn't really matter. So this is a good example of 60 frames per second. Every frame is movement in the picture. So this is locked at 60 frames per second. That would make sense for the cutscenes, of course. The Warfare has the potential to release powerful combos, such as using trickster skills to deceive enemies and open up. Although they didn't show that, you can actually use the trickster as well. I didn't know that. I thought the trickster would be out of the question, but hey, that is even more powerful. However, the Warfare is not an almighty vocation. Their basic stats are not high. Yeah, that would be a nice way to balance it. So just looking at this, it looks like a lot of, at least the people in my Discord, there's almost 10,000 people who are on PC and 500, so it's actually around 5% that are on PlayStation 5. It looks to me that we have all of these basic and advanced vocations, and then we have the special vocations that looks like this. The emblem is very different on these special vocations. It doesn't even look like the trickster is a special vocation. This vocation is just a hybrid, right? You see it in the emblem. I think this opens up the possibilities for a lot more vocations, and I think the theories we had earlier is very possible now. This just confirms to us that the trickster is not a special vocation. You will have your basic vocations that are purple and pink, because otherwise I would expect the trickster emblem to look like this, right? That would make sense. And also the color we have here looks like gray and white or black and white. So also here is a completely new color, and it's just a single color. I still believe in 18 vocations. I think that's very possible. Vermundian Court Oracle and Trickster Meister, out of fear for her life over speaking out against the false arisen taking the throne, she is currently in hiding. This actually confirms the trickster vocation is not linked to Batal at all. So that was something that we predicted wrong in our first video. So you're onto something here, because they say Oracle and Trickster Master. This could imply two vocations. She can teach you the trickster vocation, but also Oracle skills. I don't know what that really could imply, but so what kind of vocation could a Oracle Master be? I think this will be unlocked at a very late point in the game, or maybe even post-game. But unlocking this early, I think, will destroy your experience, really, because you are all these vocations in one, and to really build a knowledge and getting to enjoy one certain vocation, it's going to be much harder if you have access to this one as well at the same time. I think we are really underestimating how much Asians love symmetry, right? As I said before, that's really important to understand. There is always a system behind things. They have really thought this through. Yeah, Seeker comes to mind, Alchemist comes to mind, Monk, Katana vocation. It's gonna be a lot more vocations that they're gonna showcase in February. I hope we get a demo early in March, and I can't wait to see what else they have in store for us in this game. And I'm definitely gonna pre-order it.